Hi, and welcome to another episode in the Macaw Ayahuasca Retreats podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the language of ayahuasca. This is mainly a topic that is relevant to all psychedelics, but I'm going to be talking by my experience. So, this is mainly about ayahuasca, how it talks, and how our being receives it in the body, in the mind, and in the soul. And this is one of the main reasons why I recommend people to prepare the soul and prepare your mind by listening to music that is related to ayahuasca. And because my main target here is people that talk in English, I really recommend it because most of the music that is made for medicine is in Spanish or in languages, indigenous languages that you don't understand. So that is very powerful because you're getting used to hearing things that you don't understand, but deep down when you're listening to the music, you're vibrating by it. It is transmitting something to you. So I don't know. Let's say I have one music in mind, one song in mind. And it is called Colibri Dorado, which is like the Golden Hummingbird by Danny Troybig, and it is in Spanish. And even for people like me that I know Spanish, that song doesn't really say anything. It isn't in a story or it may be a story, but it is more like a mantra. It is something that is said and repeated again and again and again in the same with the same tone, but with the instruments, and it's like a vibration that transmits a vision. And this will be the way, and as you're listening to me, this is going to be like a quantum talk, because most of the people are not going to understand. And in this podcast specifically, and with this episode, my target is not you understanding, but you vibing. Remember that we are giving you tools, knowledge, and tips that you can use to prepare, experience, and integrate your ayahuasca ceremonies. We can guide you with our program, which is all those steps and ayahuasca retreats here in Medellin, Colombia, with certified shamans. And one of the tools is understanding and integrating in your mind that most of the times in the ayahuasca experience, your mind is not going to want to be understanding. It is mostly going to be your soul and your body. And we get very troubled by this. And if you think very deeply, the things that matter to you and that trouble you the most are things that you don't understand in your mind. It's not logical. And that is what ayahuasca does. It talks, and it is not logical, but it talks. And it talks in a language that is not English, it is not Spanish, but somehow it is a language that you and I can understand, with images, with colors. This is why it is so important to be like familiar overall, and especially in the integrating part, not so much in the preparation part, but in the integrating part, to know about chakras and about totems and about all of those things, because those are like languages that talk than just words, and they go deeper. So that's why logical people don't believe in them or don't find any value in them. But when you experience the ayahuasca experience, the ayahuasca ceremony, it's gonna have value. Knowing why a bird appeared to you and which one specifically, why it was a macaw or maybe an eagle, and what is the meaning of that, what is the spiritual meaning. And that is why it's so important, the integration session for us, because we get to understand it. And throughout the whole history of the human, we have called magic to the things that we do not understand. So for example, it's been found by historians that all the witchcraft and witches that were named in the 1500s and so was caused by psychedelics, by mushrooms that grew in the bread, and we call it magic, dark magic. But now we understand that there is science behind it. And now we understand it, so we don't call it witchcrafty or magic, but we know what it is and we have a name for it. The same works here. There are many things that we don't yet understand by humans, so we don't have a word for it, and there is like a fancy or a magic word that we have, and the magic word for this is the language of the heart. It's the language of the universal love, and those are things that are linked to hippies and all those kinds of groups, but it is only linked to that because those were the first people that made those experiences famous and were more like for the masses. And this is why most of these groups and ayahuasca and hippies and all the kind of groups that have experience with psychedelics can only express this with music. I once heard this from a historian that said that there are things in history that cannot be told but rather sang or sing. I don't know the past tense of singing, but it cannot be told but expressed in songs. So this is why it's so important that you listen to these kinds of music. I don't expect you to understand, for example, psychedelic art, but music is something that is much more easy for us to digest. However, what I have found is that there are ways to be prepared so that ayahuasca doesn't speak so much in a language that you don't understand, and there are ways that we can be much more structured to help ayahuasca speak in our language, because ayahuasca talked to me in that language in my first experiences, but right now, if I'm clear with you, it speaks to me either in Spanish or in English, and it speaks to me very clearly because I have organized myself internally, I prepare myself, and I have like a lifestyle that helps me talk with it constantly. And before that, it talked to me with the sounds of the jungle, giving me all kinds of sounds from birds and animals and images, and I wasn't able to understand it. I was even afraid of it. But with repetition and preparing myself, I have like the structure so that when I was speaking to my subconscious is also organized. And this is one of the main parts, preparing your mind. Because as we've talked before, the mind is like the bridge between the body and the soul, especially for ayahuasca. And if you prepare your mind for this, it will help. Once again, music is one of the things. I'll try to create a list in Spotify to link it here, or that you can find it in this channel. But other things that you can do are like reports. If you have your mindset for talking about your problems, because what happens with most of the people, I think this happens less and less, but let's talk about you. Let's say you go with your traumas, your childhood traumas, you don't know what they are, you're in a bad mood every 3 days with your spouse, but you don't know why, and you blame them, and and on, and you go and drink ayahuasca. This is when ayahuasca is telling you a lot of things that you don't want to listen. You don't have clear in your mind. You don't even know which part is you're responsible for and what things you want to let go. But if you write down, you know what your problems are, what bothers you, what aspects of your life are the ones that you want to change the most. And you write and write again the report, so to say. The report is saying, okay, this is what is happening today with my life in this aspect. I don't like this, I like this thing, I like my boss, I don't like my coworkers, I think I can work very well being alone, but I don't work well being a teammate. I'm talking here just about the professional part, but I'm giving an example. And if I can like tell this to a friend and then talk to, let's say I talk with a friend in the morning and then I talk with a friend in the afternoon. Am I gonna tell them the same thing about my professional aspect? Am I gonna tell them the same report? And how do you achieve to have that report? By repeating it, by writing it down once and then twice and then 3 times, and then looking at it and seeing what is staying and what is changing. And what stays is what is real, and what stays is what you really want. And when you have that very, very clear, and you do that for a week and it stays the same, then you're gonna go to your ayahuasca experience, ceremony, retreat. And once you drink your cup, the first thing you do is you lay down, you close your eyes, and you start talking to the plant. And this is, as I said, this is a quantum podcast. Most of you are not here yet. Only 1% or less are still here. So I'm gonna say the hardest part here. You're gonna go and talk to a plant. Yes, it is a plant. How do you talk with a plant? You just talk in your mind and you tell them the same story you've been talking. Okay, professionally, this is what's happening to me. This is what is repeating. This is what I want. And it is not only going to be in your mind or in your subconscious. And that way, ayahuasca is going to be able to talk to you in the words that your subconscious knows. What are the things that you have in your subconscious? The thing that you have repeated so much, and they're always the same, that there is no remedy but to repeat it. Look at everything that you do subconsciously, like, I don't know, driving a car or walking. Those are things that your body subconsciously know how to move your feet, your knee, your leg, and it knows that the ground is always gonna be there. So this is why we can do it with, so to say, our subconscious. We don't have to think to move our left feet and also left knee, and then the right, also lift the right. No, you don't need to be thinking about it. It's subconscious. It is instinctual, so to say. So ayahuasca comes from the jungle. ayahuasca is natural and is very related to nature. So the more instinctual you are, the more it's gonna be integrated, and the more you're gonna be able to talk with ayahuasca in terms that you're going to understand. I hope this has been helpful, and for the ones that stay to the last minute, I think we're gonna be understood. And if you need any help, if I can be of any help, and if you're still here, I think you're knowing one part of me that is gonna be the most difficult to understand of me. The rest is gonna be much more easier. So I hope to see you soon. Make sure you follow us on our social media. We have more content for you, and see you.